Having some tea instead of coffee today. A little change of pace. Got my Wheel of Time mug, wool-headed sheep herder. Got that for my birthday last year. And I think it's appropriate for the Gathering Storm book review. If you're a follower of my channel, you'll notice that a lot of my videos are Wheel of Time, or you'll hear me talk about Wheel of Time in almost every one of my videos. That's because I've been reading this for almost the last 2 years. And I started my channel after I finished book 9, Winter's Heart. And I just felt like it was kind of weird to do book reviews right in the middle of the series. However, I feel like Sanderson is just a nice cutoff. It's a nice trilogy of books right at the end. So why not just review the last 3 books? To preface, I have read book 12 and book 13. I have not finished book 14, A Memory of Light. So, my gosh, do not spoil the ending for me, please. I know nothing. However, this review is going to be filled with spoilers from book 12 to maybe the beginning, maybe here and there, but it'll mainly be about the Gathering Storm. The unique thing about Wheel of Time is that it's all just one continuous story. There's never just, books 1 and 2 and 3 are one thing, and then maybe 4, 5, and 6 are its own thing. No, it's all just right from the beginning, book 1, all the way to the end. A continuous, gradual journey. And that's what separates the series from anything else in fantasy. Sure, you've got Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings is 1 book, 3 volumes. This is 14 books. Sure, you can say it's extremely long, too long, long-winded, whatever, overly descriptive, too many names, but why not? If you love a world so much and you love the characters, I'd want a series to be 30 books long. I'd want to live in that world for as long as possible. Knife of Dreams was Robert Jordan's last book, book 11, before he passed. And his wife, his editor, reached out to Brandon Sanderson to finish the series. And this book opens with a letter from Brandon Sanderson. And I'm going to be honest, I cried. I'm telling you, these coastal clouds just come in, it's bright one moment, and then it's gloomy the next. Maybe it's the storm, the gathering storm, the last battle. If you didn't tell me Brandon Sanderson wrote the last 3 books, I probably couldn't tell a difference. Sanderson truly honors Jordan in his language, in his wordplay, in his descriptions. I'm so thankful that's the case, because I tried Mistborn, Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, book 1, and I didn't like it. I have a review of it. I am very polite and respectful in my opinions toward that book, but I didn't like it. It was very surface level to me. I'm thankful Brandon didn't just simplify things, because his prose and writing style are very simple and accessible. Not a bad thing, just not my cup of tea. However, I'm just thankful he stuck with the descriptions and the lore, and I just think Sanderson did a really good job emulating Jordan's writing style. However, you can tell he cut some things in half, and he was able to just kind of pick up that pace and keep the pace going. Never did I feel a lull in the story. It just kept going. Going into Gathering Storm, I assumed it was just going to be a roller coaster. It was going to be like a boom, like just nonstop action, neck-breaking pace. However, this is kind of a build-up. You have 11 books worth of plot threads, and Sanderson is just connecting them bit by bit in this book and kind of moving the last pieces in place of the chess game that is at hand. I was very thankful that it wasn't just action. There were plenty of quiet moments and just conversations. And in plenty of these conversations, there was tension and anxiety. This is where everything converges toward the end. Everything is moving toward this last event, the last battle. It's such a joy, and it's so rewarding to see all these plot threads converging in this book, coming together. You get answers to a lot of the questions you had. Something that came to the surface very commonly in this book were a lot of these factions and perspectives and military leaders, people in power. They're all realizing they are going to have to come together. And whether through circumstance or mistakes or just hard lessons learned, they come to the conclusion like, okay, we need to stop fighting each other and focus on the shadow, the dark one. That is the threat. We need men. We cannot, like every battle, like if I fight you and take out your men can't fight in the last battle. Characters are having to put their differences aside and come together. However, the Sanchan and Rand, they do not see eye to eye. So, yeah. There's so much to talk about in this book. I am going to be all over the place, so bear with me. And I'm not going to go from the beginning to the end in chronological order. I'm just going to be talking about some of the things that stood out to me, some of the characters, and some of their big moments. For example, Rodel Itrolda. I do not know how to say his name. This guy's one of my favorite characters. I love the way Jordan and Sanderson have written battle sequences and strategy, and the way leaders are coming into form and fulfilling their role as a military leader. And Rodel, who I believe he is a Damani, he's fighting off the Sanchan. And you see his brilliance, how he uses his men in the most clever of ways, tricking the Sanchan. He is a military genius, tactician, a strategist, and every battle you see him lose men. And even when he is losing men, he is still using what he has in very powerful ways. And Rand ends up recruiting him and sends him to the borderlands. I would have done the same thing. Rodel is a man you would want in your military. One thing I was hoping for was the Tower of Genji, the journey to the Tower of Genji, and we didn't get that. Book 5, Moraine dies, and she sends a letter to Rand and to Tom. But I don't think you learn about Tom's letter until Knife of Dreams, when he's just hanging out with Matt, and Matt sees him reading it, and the moment I read that letter, I was just like, I can't wait. This is all I want. But we didn't get that in this book, and I was a little sad, but there is reason for it. However, what we do get is the little on-foot journey through Hindersnap. I believe that's what it's called. This small little town that is kind of stuck within the pattern. It's kind of I guess, a bubble of evil, if you will. Matt is leading his men through the mountains and trying to navigate, and he needs to get to this place and that place, and it's going to be like a month until he's able to get to the Tower of Genji and whatnot. But he comes to this town of Hindersnap, and he needs supplies. But they're like, yo, you can't stay here. You gotta get out of here before nightfall. And they're doing that to protect Matt and his men. However, Matt overstays his welcome, and he learns that everyone by nightfall goes mad and rabid. They start just fighting and killing and eating each other, and it's in chaos, and Matt and Tom barely get out alive and whatnot. And I guess by the next day, it's like a Groundhog Day thing, repeating itself over and over again. Every day it resets. Everyone who died in that town wakes up in their bed just fine and dandy, and they have to live with those memories. And it's just an example of the Dark One's hand over the world, the spoiled food, the ghosts and dead walking. It's kind of a fun side quest, and more examples of the stakes rising and rising. This book also had a character who I never trusted. Her name's Perrin. She's of the brown Aja. I remember in book 2, I think, with the hunt for the horn, she always just had that kind of eel, slithery-like attitude. Like she was always hiding something. I mean, every Aes Sedai is hiding something. Then Perrin shows up, and she has seen Matt's photo and poster everywhere. And she can provide gateways for Matt and his men. They negotiate back and forth, and, you know, I got a task for you, and I'll provide you passage to Caemlyn if you do this task for me, and you can't open this letter for 2 weeks, 30 days, that kind of thing. I feel like if Jordan had his way, Matt would have had to travel on foot to Caemlyn, and that would have been another book. I wouldn't be complaining because Matt's my favorite character. But thankfully, Perrin arrived and was able to teleport the gang to Caemlyn. I don't know why people have complained about Gawain and even Galad. I feel like their character arcs are vital in world building. Building out the warder side of things and the white cloak side of things, and those inner workings of those politics. Gawain just seems like he's floundering and trying to find his way in the world, and he goes to Gareth Bryn and he's asking for advice. I just love the history that Gawain and Gareth Bryn have together. The fact that Gareth Bryn has kind of trained up this boy, and now that they were kind of on separate sides of this political battle, and now they kind of come together to save Egwene, who gets captured in the White Tower. And my gosh, let me tell you, Egwene, a character who I haven't really cared about throughout most of the series. I just didn't appreciate a lot of her scenes in the earlier books and give the proper attention toward her growth. In books like, I think 10 and 11 were kind of her inner workings of being inside the tower and trying to sway different women and Ajas to be on her side. And I just felt like that stuff was boring. All those scenes in the earlier books just felt meaningless and pointless to me, but they're for a reason, and they show her growth. All of that pays off right here in this book. That's her right here. That's Egwene. Whenever you can't see it, but well, anyways, the Seanchan attack, and she goes into a closet, grabs an Angreal, like a stick, a flute, a wand, and just goes ham on the Seanchan. There's like a hole in the wall, and she's just like taking out the Air Force, taking out the ground troops. It's insane. It's just amazing how far she's come. Her journey, the punishments, the torture scenes, the Adam, I think is what it's called, the collar that's on her neck in book 2. It's amazing. And if anyone deserves to be Amyrlin's seat, it's her. She's united the White Tower. One thing that does happen with another Aes Sedai, a very old Aes Sedai, Swan. It's another spanking scene. And it was one scene that I just... Really? You have a Forsaken who is captured and being tortured, being questioned. And this Forsaken has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. They are trying to extrapolate knowledge and answers from her ancient mind. Violence and manipulation and questioning and torture and... Oh, what do we do? What do we do? And Swan, a 300-year-old Aes Sedai, would have the right answer. I know. I know just the thing to do. I'm going to flip that Forsaken on my knee and I'm going to spank her bottom. That will get the answers. Oh, and also, I'm going to have her eat beans off the ground. Was I surprised? Not really. If anyone's going to do that, it's Jordan and Sanderson. And Sanderson honored Jordan in that right. You got to keep the spankings alive. I truly hope the ending of the book is Rand spanking the Dark One and just spanking him and spanking his taint. Okay, gosh. You tell anyone on the outside looking in about the spankings and they're just gonna be like, what the heck? But 12 books in, I'm just like, yeah, it makes sense. Every culture punishes each other with spanking. Let's talk about Perrin. There was just one too many books of him just kind of sulking about Fael. His whole identity up to this point is just Fael. And now that he's saved Fael from the Shaido, it's like, okay, now what? And he's still struggling with or I'm not having an affair, and you gotta believe me, and it's okay. Don't worry, we don't, I don't care what you had to go through with, the Shaido. It felt a little too long. I felt like this needed to be wrapped up sooner. There's more to Perrin than his marriage. One thing I feel like hasn't overstayed its welcome is his inner struggle with leadership and accepting that role as a leader. He did accept that role. He led the Two Rivers men against the White Cloaks and the Trollocs. And he did it against the Shaido. He's clearly a battle-hardened warrior and a general, whether he believes it or not. I don't get excited when I see the chapter open up with Perrin. It's like, okay, what's going to happen now? Oh, Fael this, Fael that. And let's go back to Perrin. My goodness. That reveal, one of the greatest moments in all of the series, in all of Wheel of Time. Perrin revealing to Egwene that she is of the Black Aja. That's a chapter that I would just turn to and reread. Throughout the whole series, I just never really trusted her. And it makes sense now, but she found a way to work for the Dark One while also working for the light. That takes bravery. That takes great patience and knowledge. And she swung the tides of the war in this moment, empowering Egwene with a book of many, many, many names of the Black Aja. It was a powerful moment, a prime example of why Wheel of Time is so special. All these mini plot lines that you're just like, oh, is this going to make sense? And why are we doing this? Why are we hanging out with this character? Perrin's sitting in the corner with her books, whatever. No, it makes sense. I know on a reread, I'm going to be like, yep, I know what she's doing. Let's talk about Rand. This was his book. And this was him dealing with a lot. Dealing with all these political powers and political thrones and who to trust, who not to trust. And he falls off the deep end. Well, one thing that happens, he has a dream, and I think he's in the dream world, and he has a seat with Moradin. Moradin is a familiar face to Rand. I guess Moradin was Ishmael. Moradin was the one who crossed streams with Rand in Shadar Logoth, I think in book 7. Moradin basically teaches Rand that the only way to defeat the Forsaken is with balefire. And let me tell ya, yeah. Cimaraj, the one who was spanked by Cadswan, somehow escapes and steals the hidden male Adam from Cadswan's room and puts it on Rand, forcing Rand to strangle Min to death. I truly believe that Rand was going to kill Min. Somehow, some way, Rand accessed the true source, the Dark One's power. This is the turning point for Rand. He never wanted to kill a woman. He vowed throughout the whole series to never kill a woman. He goes ahead and kills Cimaraj with balefire, exiles Cadswan because he just can't trust her. He is just overtaken with anger. He will do anything and everything to win, and nothing is going to get in his way. Rand meets with the Seanchan Empress, Tuon, and we've been waiting for this moment for a book, 2 books, and I loved the setup for this scene, and I loved that it was told through Tuon's perspective. I think some of the best storytelling is when it's told through different perspectives, and I think that creates a larger world and a living and breathing world, and you just see Rand through someone else's eyes. Tuon has heard so much about this dragon reborn, and here she is meeting him for the first time. There's not much to this negotiation, although I was extremely tense while reading it. Rand is basically just saying, yo, I need you. I need you for the last battle. But then she's thinking about the prophecy, like how he will bow down to the Crystal Throne. And he's just like, I'm not having it. Like, you gotta join me for the last battle. She begins to feel the Ta'veren tug of Rand and that power. How I think they're about to sign a peace treaty or something. She was about to agree to it, and nope, no deal. He walks away, and Tuon begins the invasion of the White Tower. And my gosh, that setup was powerful, was dope. With the Air Force and the blood knives, and you're just like, whoa, what? And how that chapter opened up with, whoa, Tuon's dead? What the heck? For a second, I thought Rand just walked away. The next chapter, we're seeing the aftermath of his chaos, of him just destroying the Seanchan and killing the Empress. But no, Tuon is dead, but the Empress is alive. And then Rand goes ahead and balefires a palace with a bunch of people in it, killing another Forsaken. He's lost his mind. Balefire wipes things out from the pattern. They never existed. Never. Ever since the first use of balefire, I've just been thinking, like, what are the implications of the use of balefire from the first time to now? Cadswan has a plan. Even in exile, she has a plan to get Rand back, feeling human emotions, and just get grounded again. So she uses Tam al'Thor, Rand's father. They meet for the first time in a long, long time. Definitely teared up during this scene. Them reuniting. Rand starts letting his guard down and feeling normal, relaxed, and at home. And then Tam mentions a name. He mentions Cadswan. And oh boy, you mention an Aes Sedai to Rand at this point? Nope. Bad choice. And I was in a coffee shop while reading this chapter. I don't know what I said or how loud I was, but I was genuinely shocked. The moment Tam reveals that Cadswan was behind this meeting, Rand's like, I'm going to kill you with balefire. Rand is one of the most complex characters written, one of the greatest protagonists ever written. But I felt like just this instability, arrogance, and anger of Anakin Skywalker in episode 2. As bad as that film is, that's kind of the vibe I was getting from Rand. And yeah, he about killed Tam Alfor with balefire. I thought it was going to happen. I was like, this is insane. He's going to break the world. This is it. Thankfully, he creates a gateway and books it. Not knowing what happens in this series up to this point, I'm just dumbfounded, shocked with anything that happens. And I feel like if any other author had written this book, like Joe Abercrombie or George R. R. Martin, Tam would have been dead. And then Rand goes to, I believe he goes to Ibudar, where he is viewing this city under the imperial control of the Sanchan, and how much better of leaders they are, how they care, and how people feel under this regime. He feels like a failure, and in his wooziness, in his nausea, he's gonna blow them all up. He's gonna end the Sanchan right there, just end the war. He then makes a gateway and travels atop Dragon Mount, the very place where Lews Therin had died. Rand has this kind of Grinch Whoville moment where his mind is racing and his heart is 3 times bigger than normal, and he's just going through it all his memories, and he wants to end the world right here. But he realizes that Lews Therin is not another person. He realizes that Lews Therin is Rand al'Thor, and that they are one person. That Lews Therin is a part of him, and those memories are his memories from another life. The clouds part, and Rand laughs and smiles. Can't remember when it was said, but Cadswan said, "I will make this boy laugh. He needs to laugh and smile." Just a beautiful moment. This is a second chance, and it's not only a time for Rand to live again, but love again. It sounds cheesy, but my gosh, it's beautiful. It's powerful. And thus, that day in the world of Wheel of Time, that day was marked on a calendar by the Amyrlin Seat herself. It's the calm before the storm. How far this series has come, and what has happened, the developments, the characters, the world. I'm on book 14 right now. Even 2 chapters in, I'm just like, this is it. Yeah, those are my thoughts on The Gathering Storm, book 12 of Wheel of Time. And I will definitely have a review of book 13, Towers of Midnight, soon. Then when I'm done with A Memory of Light, I will have a review of that, and probably a few other videos about me looking back on my journey of Wheel of Time. In the comments, I just ask you to not spoil things post book 12. For my sake and for other people's. Thank you for watching, and until next time.